Segment 2, Gold and Black Live. Dwayne Carlisle and Kyle Charters join us. And Dwayne, welcome to the show. This isn't your first rodeo here, so we're glad to have you here. Dwayne needs no introduction, but Director of Sports Performance at Purdue, and has a big job of training athletes and everything that you do there. Kyle Charters just got back from women's basketball. I'll give you the 10-second version of Coach.
They need to win. They need to win.
They need to go to Minnesota and find a way to win, right?
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it's been a tough stretch, obviously, with sort of what they hope is bottoming out with a loss to Indiana on Wednesday night. But, with 3 games left in the regular season before the Big Ten tournament, I think they would like to get going in the right direction again before postseason.
Dwayne, you obviously in your role, you're dealing with the physical side, but a big part of it is the mental side too, and having men and women have their mind right. What do you do? How do you keep them all positive? Not only when you're in the position of training them in like conditioning with football, but keeping student athletes moving in the right direction. What's the key to that, you think?
Well, I think one of the big things is when the athletes come into the weight room, it's got to become their sanctuary, where they can just kind of withdraw and then focus on getting better. And the thing that we do, we're an extension of the sport coaches that we work with, and it's important that we're continually sending the message that the sport coaches send into their respective athletes. If they're going through adversity and things are tough, then we got to send the message that the coach is sending to help to get them out of that and overcome whatever the challenges are that they need to get past.
It's a lot easier to train when you have a pretty good outlook on things, right? You can run a little easier to run an extra 5 minutes or lift an extra 5 pounds if you got your head in the right spot.
No question. But as a coach, what's really important is that you've got to be the one who looks past whatever it is they're going on day to day and just keep the vision intact and let them know, hey, this is the direction we're going, and stay the course.
Right.
Yeah, you look at the situation, and we saw on Twitter what some of the guys, the football guys, went through. I don't know. It was rigorous.
Yeah.
Does that bring in terms of that? But talk about how that first week under Daryl Hazel went or under his regime. It's you guys are doing the work in terms of getting these guys ready in terms of conditioning. But how has that gone with football in week 1, and is everybody still hanging around?
They're sticking with it?
Well, Coach Hazel is very, very clear. He's got a clear message. He's very concise, and the expectations are set in front of the guys. It's a challenge. It's a challenge, and it's hard. It's hard, and he's made that very clear that being a champion is hard. If everybody could be a champion, everyone would do it. So the guys adapted well. They got through it. They're surviving, and they'll live to fight another day.
Describe a concourse for us. We saw, I guess Cody Webster said that maybe that's a term that Joe Tiller actually used way back when, and it's just sort of stuck around. But it involves going from station to station throughout Mollenkopf a little bit, lasts about an hour. Just, what are some of the things that somebody would go through what's called a concourse?
First of all, practically every major university, they go through this period.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon for
right.
most college programs to go through this type of training, and it's basically 6-7 stations, and they go through various drills during that time, and it's hard. It's all kind of different movements, and coaches want to see where guys are mentally, who's going to push through it, they want to see how guys are going to deal with discomfort. And it is what it is.
Some guys feel better than others, right?
Yeah, but those ones that don't, ultimately, they got to be pulled up, and they got to be able to deal with it the way that the top level guys deal with it.
And we ask we're getting some questions. Have you seen a difference in the players with the coaching change, and how much has Coach Hazel changed if at all, changed the sports performance area of the program in your relationship with what you're doing on a day-to-day basis?
Well, you have seen a difference in the players. There's a sense of enthusiasm. The guys are excited. Like I said, the expectations are clear, and the guys want to win. At the end of the day, they want to win, and they want to be a Rose Bowl contending type team. In terms of how things have changed, Coach Hazel's brought Coach Davis to work alongside me. He was his strength coach at Kent State. He brings fire, brings enthusiasm, brings knowledge and expertise, and it's a good marriage where we're both both come together for the betterment of the kids, and we're tag teaming them and making them better.
Just Daryl Hazel has talked a lot about discipline and accountability here in the early stages of off-season workouts. What does that mean exactly? Does that mean show up 5 minutes early to a 6 a.m.? Does it mean make sure you're giving 100% all the way through? All the above? What things have you seen that he is expecting from his guys?
He expects great effort all the time at everything that they do, at every level of what they do. It means making sure that if you have an academic appointment, if you have a nutrition appointment, if you have a weight room session, whatever it might be, make sure that you take care of business. Otherwise, you're in the wax club.
And then the wax club is?
I'm trying to figure out what the acronym would be here.
No, there's no acronym.
Oh, okay.
It's just wax club just basically means that you've got to do some extra duties.
Okay.
All right. Now I'm 53 years old, and I want to maintain the ability to be in condition, and yet has this all? I mean, and I know this is you don't have to respond to whether I can do that or not. But how much has this changed? I mean, you came in here last year or in your time and brought a real change to the way things are done. And yet, how much has this evolved even in your time of doing this? Is this totally different the way it was 15 years ago? I mean, in terms of sports performance?
You know what? Methods change, principles are timeless. And so when you look at what we do and the approach that we take, it's all based on principles and it's based on science. The methods in terms of how you go about creating adaptations and creating change and so forth, that changes. You always see new methods. You go on YouTube and you'll see 50,000 different ways of doing an abdominal exercise. But the bottom line is you have to go back to what works. And what works is science, right? And you look at the science, that doesn't change because it's based on principles. And it's the matter of kind of how you put everything together that ultimately determines the success that your team and your athletes have with respect to the strength and conditioning side of it.
Of those 50,000 different abdominal muscles exercises you can do, how many I like to do? This many, 0. Abdominal muscles, that's not fun.
I've got a question kind of
those are rough.
Tied into something we'd asked before, but how does your role now coincide with the new football strength and conditioning? I mean, have your specific roles changed? Are you setting the plan, or how does your role compare to what it might have been last year?
Well, it hasn't changed. Yeah, my role hasn't changed, still serving in the same capacity. With Doug and I, we collaborate. We collaborate and we lay out the plan and we go forth with it. But in terms of my role, it hasn't changed.
You look at, obviously all sports, how much difference, you got guys, with football where it seems it's not always that way, but that you're trying to build strength, maybe put on weight. You have swimmers that do certain things a certain way. How much of the science of that has changed in terms of them being able to, is it so much more of a specific training regimen for no matter which sport you're dealing with?
Well, there's certain aspects of training that are common across the board, regardless of the sport. Nevertheless, there's a specificity component to training each sport. So the approach that we take is we're a support function to our sport coaches. We meet with all the head coaches. We find out what their vision is for the team, what they want them to accomplish collectively, what they want their individual athletes to work on. And then we customize our plan so that our athletes are working in a team environment, yet within that team environment, my coaches have the expertise to be able to individualize the program, to be able to identify limiting factors.
Okay. I want to get back to my old age question, and I want to talk about your camp. Your philosophy on because we have people that are close to my age watching the show, on training and folks when they're 40 plus, I'll say, in terms of lifelong fitness. What's the key for people that want to maintain flexibility, want to maintain strength at an older age? What do they need to be doing? Is it just a case of doing the right thing and doing it consistently, or what? How do you view that?
You just said it. The first thing is you got to start.
Yeah.
You got to start. Like everyone wants advice. Hey, what should I do for this? What should I do for that? Right? And they don't want to get up and do anything. The number one thing you got to do is first make that commitment just move. Exercise. You just said you don't like doing abdominal exercise. That's your core. That's the center of your body. You sit all day, so your psoas muscles or your hip flexors get short and tight, and the next thing you know, you might have low back pain because your abdominals aren't strong enough to stabilize your posture.
My wife's a physical therapist, and you're sounding like her now.
There you go. There you go.
I wasn't expecting that.
The number one thing you have to do, I don't care at any age, is you've got to make the commitment, and then secondly, you got to make sure that you're doing it consistently. Your cardio, your strength training. One of the big things about resistance training is that muscle knows no age. Now, as you get over 25, and you don't use your muscles, they're going to atrophy. It's just like putting your leg in a cast, right, from an injury. But bottom line is you have to make sure that you're training. Resistance training, the big thing that gets people over 40 is their diet, how they eat. Right? I'm over 40. You got to make sure that you're eating the right way all the time. Otherwise, it just adds. It adds, and then you go through your New Year's resolution, and you got to get it off, and then you go through it again. It's in a vicious cycle.
Yeah. Now we have on our site because Dwayne, I want to go to this camp because I think I could. I'm glad it's only 3 days because that gives me a fighting chance. But your elite Dwayne Carlisle's Elite Performance Camp, and if you're interested, we have the PDF also on attached on the screen as well. Tell us a little bit about that. You have 2 separate sessions, June 28th through the 30th and July 12th through the 14th. Tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing with that.
Well, I started this camp back in New Jersey. Back in 2000, 2001, we ran it as an overnight camp at the Lawrenceville School. It was a great success then. And I want to reintroduce it here for athletes in the Midwest area, particularly Tippecanoe County and so forth. But the focus of the camp is for athletes 6th grade through 12th grade. And we're going to introduce athletes to cutting-edge training techniques. And they're going to have an opportunity to go through Division I workouts. So each one of my coaches are going to work with each one of the athletes that come based on the sport that they play, and they're going to go through a diagnostic component where they're going to get on all the equipment that we use to determine our athletes' limiting factors, and they're going to go through nutrition education. They're going to go through flexibility, mobility, speed, agility, strength, power. It'll be specific for their age, and it'll also be specific for their sport.
How many people can participate at a time? How many are you taking in?
We're going to cap it at 100.
Yeah, so good number for that. Because we were debating whether Kyle could make it through 1 day of training with football.
I've inquired. I might be out there Wednesday.
A lot of ab work.
Is there?
A lot of ab work.
That's gonna kill me. It's the one thing I refuse to do.
You got to do it.
I need to, though.
I know, you got to do it, and that part of it is important. Still a couple questions, but we have a couple more minutes. How many staff members have you added since you've joined Purdue? And talk about the breadth of your staff, because you have several folks that work with you, again, not obviously just in football and basketball.
Okay. Director of Sports Performance, so I oversee everything and work directly with football. And then we have 3 directors. There is Coach Doug Davis. His position title is Senior Director of Sports Performance - football, and he works with softball as well. And we have Coach Christina Speckos. She works with women's basketball, volleyball, and women's soccer. Then we have Coach Josh Bonnetal. He works with men's basketball, men's swimming, and men's tennis. And then we have what's called 4 sports performance assistants, and those are fixed-term positions up to 3 years. And we've got seven of those coaches. And what's great about it, Morgan Burke has provided the resources for us to be able to double up some teams. Because one of the things I'd like to provide our coaches is the ability to travel at times with their teams. There's one thing that you're training teams year-round, and it's nice to be able to go on an away trip and be able to connect with your student athletes on a different level, as well as watch them compete on the road.
And that's a big part of it. Like I said, it's when you're training them, you got to know them too. I mean, that's part of it as well. All right. Well, like I said, we'll keep that PDF on our site, so you have a chance to, if you're interested in that camp. Again, June 28th through the 30th, July 12th through the 14th. They can also contact you via email at purduesports.com as well. So. we'll look forward to doing it. Dwayne, thanks so much for coming on today, and we enjoyed it. And,
Thank you.
And it's always an interesting topic that you can always shake his
So
hand
planks
after next
too?
Wednesday.
Planks too? I got to do planks then if I come out?
So you know all this stuff, and you're not
Oh,
doing it.
I do know it all, yeah. But
I'm coming for an analysis too as well.
We'll make that a component of our camp, all right?
All right, Dwayne, thanks so much, and we'll have Marcus Freeman join us in segment 3 with Stacy Clarity, and we'll look forward to. You guys can sit pat for a couple minutes. He's not going to try to train you while you're in the computer world. You can rest easy, but we'll be back in a couple minutes on Golden Black Live.
Going to the Purdue game? Stay at Hilton Garden Inn, West Lafayette at the Wabash Landing. Your family will love the well-appointed guest rooms, the pool, whirlpool, fitness center, the breakfast buffet, and the amazing Hilton Garden Inn staff. Located just 4 blocks from Purdue University, Hilton Garden Inn has long been the choice for Purdue fans. Call today for a reservation and make Hilton Garden Inn your #1 choice.
Check out the Purdue collection now at Follett's. Boiler up with Nike Fantastic T-shirts, League and Champion fashion colors. Simply fabulous, simply Follett's. Purdue pride everywhere on game day. Nike sideline, worn by the team, by the players, and by you. And make every day game day with tailgate toss. Follett's, Purdue pride, a Purdue tradition, 17 game day locations.
Good driver? We've got a discount for that and a lot more. See State Farm agent Trent Johnson to make sure you get all the discounts you deserve on your car insurance. Saving you money? It's just part of being there. Call or visit Trent today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Segment 3, Golden Black Live. Stacey Clarity, Marcus Freeman. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
It's good to have somebody that's played the national championship game here. That's one thing, but it's also good to have you, Purdue. Just watching your enthusiasm at the first press conference, and from what I hear, that's you bring obviously playing skill, and coaching skill, but enthusiasm is a big part of it.
Yeah, I love it. When you love what you do, I guess you have enthusiasm. And I'm a little hoarse today. We had a 6 a.m. this morning. I lost a little bit of my voice. Encouraging.
Yeah.
It wasn't yelling. I was encouraging, but I lost my voice a little bit.
What I hear a whole lot of encouraging has been going on. Stacey?
I guess, how are those 6 a.m.s? How have they gone this week?
They've been great.
Yeah.
They've been great. And to watch the kids mold of just for the expectations, because they had no clue what we were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been hard. It's been really hard. And they've all just fought through. And there's points where guys are struggling, and you see the team come and grab them and say, hey, help me finish. And it's been very encouraging as a coach.
Working for a guy like Daryl Hazel, and we all, you've had mentoring through your college days and playing for Jim Tressel on down the line, but what's it like to have a job working for a guy like Daryl Hazel?
It's hard to compare with many other jobs because I haven't had many other jobs. But from everything I hear and what I know, it doesn't get much better than being with Coach Hazel. He's a guy that loves family. Being in this profession, you can really get swallowed up at work and not being able to see your family. And me having a wife and 3 young kids, it's like, hey, I want to see my family once in a while. And he says, go bring your family here, go home. And then, his vision as a coach and loving and bringing his kids together. And the same thing with his staff. It's been a pleasant going on 3 years now.
Yeah, and you've had some success too.
You married your high school sweetheart, right?
She was my college sweetheart.
college
Yeah,
sweetheart.
she's my college sweetheart. So
Still a long time.
absolutely, it's been a long. Well, don't tell her that. It seemed like it's only been a couple days, but she's at home back in Ohio with the kids, and she showed me a picture of her at the pool, at an indoor pool. So I guess they're doing okay without Dad
They're
being
having a
home.
good time.
Only in the short term, they'll do
Absolutely.
okay. But they have the world of FaceTime and Skype comes in handy. What ages are your kids?
6, 5, 1, and then 1 due in June.
Oh,
Wow.
mercy, so you are busy. But
I know.
are you into the Skype and stuff? The kids are probably, it's intuitive for them. They know where to go.
Matter of fact, last week, I think it was last weekend or 2 weekends ago, I bought my wife an iPhone.
Ah.
She's never had an iPhone. She was a Droid girl.
Yeah.
And so finally I talked her into getting an iPhone. It's been nonstop. FaceTime. My son knows how to get on FaceTime now, so now I'm in the middle of the
Nice.
meeting, I see FaceTime. Coach Hazel sits right beside me. I'm trying to turn my phone off really fast, but it's been nonstop FaceTime with my family.
How did you get into coaching? Your story, your background is pretty interesting. Obviously, you wanted to get to the NFL, and then you found out you had a heart condition,
Yep.
right? Can you just kind of let people know, I guess, a little bit about?
Yep, I played at Ohio State through 2008, and then 2009, I got drafted to Chicago. And Chicago got released from there, went to Buffalo, got released from there, finished in Houston. So half of my mind said, you might need to figure out something else to do, and the other half said, well, let's give another shot. So it's funny that the Colts called me when I was trying to say, what do I want to do? And they said, we want to sign you. So I went to Indianapolis and got a physical, and they found an enlarged heart valve, and which really, it just means that the doctor said every couple of years you better check on it and don't let it go 10 years without looking at it. But, it's nothing crazy. He just said, we can't sign you. He said, nobody in the NFL is going to sign you with an enlarged heart valve. So then that's when I said, my decision's been made.
Yeah.
There is no teetering. And
Right.
first person I called actually was Coach Fickle, Luke Fickle at Ohio State, who was my position coach at that time. And I said, I think I want to coach. I said, I've been sitting here. I haven't played in a game this year, but I love practicing. I love watching film. Maybe this is what I want to do. Because when I was a player, I said, I'll never be a coach. Those hours are crazy. And, he said, okay. And he said, the first thing he did was try to talk me out of it and said, this is what you do because and I understand why now that I'm in it. And then I talked with Coach Tressel, and they gave me a great opportunity to be a GA. And my passion for coaching has just grown and grown and grown. And now I'm head deep. I'm done.
Yeah.
This is all I can do. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Relating, you I guess by age, you can be you're the closest to the current kids, the players on the team, but also in recruiting. We're working on a story, and Brian's working on has written a story in the magazine about the state of Ohio. Much has been made, and Daryl Hazel, and you guys trying to recruit that state. Give us some feel for what it's like to play high school football. You went to Heber Heights, and that's a hotbed of high school football as well. What it's like, and how do you translate the Purdue experience to going into the state of Ohio and getting kids that are interested in coming to West Lafayette?
I think Ohio football is a lot like the Midwest football. Okay, and maybe Ohio has a couple more guys than the surrounding states, but Midwest football to me is a typical Midwest recruit is a kid that's talented, but he loves football and he's going to give you everything he has. He may not be as fast as the kid in Florida, he may not be as quick, but he's going to be smart, football smart, and he's going to give you everything he has. And I don't think you can have enough of those Midwest kids on your football team.
And there are enough in the state of Ohio, for example, to Ohio State can't get them all.
Absolutely. And we've always talked about, we don't want to be known as the school that's saying, hey, we're going to get the next best guys in Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's my mindset. When I go, my areas from Columbus to Dayton and up and down 75, I want to find the best kids in my area. And if Ohio State's offered them, Ohio State's offered them. I'm going to go compete against them every day. Every day I'm going in there. Every day I can send them a letter. I'm going to try to outwork those guys. Okay, but I don't want to go with the mindset, well, Ohio State offered them, let me back out. I'm going to go after every single kid and hopefully get the ones that are right fits for us.
Yeah.
There was a question on here about recruiting. They asked who is responsible for what areas. I don't know if you can go through the whole staff, but obviously it's broken. It's broken up.
It's broken down. I think we have 4 guys in Indiana, okay, 4 guys in Ohio, 2 guys in Chicago. Now, the same guy in Indiana can have part of Indiana and part of Chicago. A guy in Kentucky, and a guy in Michigan and a guy in West PA. So we're really saturated in the Midwest area. Now, my secondary area is obviously I got an area in Texas. I'm really west of the Mississippi, but I'm going to focus really in Texas. And then we got guys in Florida and guys in Georgia, but we're really saturated here in the Midwest. And it's all broken down in the cities and counties, really.
And we talk about the Texas, obviously a great area. How do you view the difference in, obviously having grown up in Ohio, the difference in Texas football, maybe the difference in Florida football, and you talked a little bit about that, but what the difference between those places, the type of kids that you get from those different areas as they compare to the Midwestern kids?
I think Texas football is a lot like Ohio football, a lot like Midwest football. Hard-working, athletic, but tough. Kids that love football. They love football down in Texas. I learned that last year. It was the first year I recruited Texas. They love football down there, and the kids love football. Florida, to me, is really, you find a lot of athletic, fast kids, okay? And to me, you can find a kid that's just like a Midwest guy. I don't want to put Florida in a different category, but to me, you'll find more speed and athleticism in Florida as a whole, okay? And the same thing goes for the Atlanta, Georgia area. And in California, to me, there's a lot of talent in California. We recruited California, and at Kent State, we've got a couple good players from there. And they're the same way to me, like a Florida with athletic kids, but they're recruiting to me is more so, can you find the right fit for your team? And you want a little bit of Florida, you want a little bit of a lot of the Midwest, a little bit of Texas, and a little bit everywhere, but can we get the right pieces to make our puzzle complete? That's, to me, the scientific solution of recruiting. Can you get the right pieces from every little place and gel them into one?
When I was down in Mobile for the bowl game for Kent, I spoke with Luke Batten, and he had said, he was a linebacker there. I guess it should be clear on who he was. People won't know who he was. And he said, he wants us to be natural football players, not kind of robots. I mean, I guess can you just kind of speak to what you're hoping that these linebackers can be in kind of the core that you want to have here?
I think you can overcoach sometimes. When you overcoach, I want you to step here, I want you to see that, I want you to move here. Sometimes I say, you know what, I'm going to put you in the right spot, and now let your abilities that we recruited just go play. So now you're playing fast. A lot of times I say, I don't want you thinking. I don't want you out there saying, okay, what's going to happen, da-da-da-da-da. I want you to go play. And I want to put you in the right position. We're going to study film, but when the ball snaps, you relax, get your chest over your toes, and go find the football. And that's the way I want my guys to play. Because sometimes your talent makes up for being in the right position, sometimes in the right spot. Just playing football. Go play football.
And I know you got a junior day this weekend. I know you can't talk about specifics, but approximately how many prospects do you, how many guys do you have that you think really you're going to look hard at that are coming this weekend?
This weekend, we got a list today that said, I think around 70 guys confirmed. All those guys are kids we're really, really looking. I think we have a lot of Indiana guys, which is good. We're going to recruit the state of Indiana hard. And, you know, we're only going to, I don't know how many guys we're specifically going to sign. And that's the thing Coach Hayes will tell them is that we're all here. You guys are all here for a reason. All you guys are recruitable players. We're only going to take 20 plus or minus a couple. But it's good to get the guys here, to get Purdue out there, to get the campus, to get the feeling of how special it's going to be. It's really, it's going to be really special.
Have you been able, and I think I know the answer to this because every assistant coach we've asked about the current personnel is kind of like, I haven't had a chance yet. But at least you've gotten to work with some of those guys now this week. I mean, I guess what are your just maybe general impressions of what you have to work with in terms of the linebackers for next year?
You know, the first thing when I got this job, everybody said, man, the linebacker, you're going to have some work to do. And you know what? I haven't seen them with pads on. I've watched film. I've watched every game from last year, and I've been with them for 3 days now. 3 really days on the field, and I couldn't ask for better. I told them today, in 3 days, I've come to trust you. I've come to get to know each and every one of you a little bit, you know, separately. Now, when the pads come on, it's all a different story, but to watch them move, we say watch them move in underwear, but to watch them move and to watch them compete, that's stuff that doesn't take pads. To watch them finish through a line, or to watch them when they're hurt, and do they keep going or do they give in? And my group as linebackers have been able to just fight and fight and fight, and that's all you ask for as a coach. We'll get you, we'll coach you up, we'll get you in the right spot, and but when things get hard, are you willing to fight and are you willing to finish? And that goes from the head coach down. That's come from Coach Hayes. We want a team of fighters. My group, so far in 3 days, have shown to say, you know what, Coach, when things get hard, I'm going to keep fighting. It's been really good to see.
Been a part of championship teams. We talked about your experience as a player at Ohio State. Last year at Kent State, really a remarkable year, considering where that program has historically been. What do you bring here in terms of change? What from your culture, not just Coach Hayes, but your culture, your experience? What do you say? I know we can bring this here to West Lafayette.
I think it's the mindset of being champions. The mindset of I'm not settling to be average, almost good, below average. I'm settling for nothing but being champions. And that's a mindset. You have to believe it. You have to believe, hey, I can be a champion. And what does it take? It takes hard work. It takes love. It takes being a family. It takes all those little things. But if your mindset says, I'm going to settle for nothing less than being a champion, which I hope I bring, I tell my guys, I want every one of you guys to be the Buckus Award champion. I want you all to be the best linebackers. And that has to be your mindset. We as a group, a linebacking corps, want to be the best linebacker corps in the nation from top down. Okay? In the end of the day, that's somebody else's opinion, but we want the mindset of, you know what, when I leave that football field after our 12 games, 13 games, we want to be the best linebacker corps in the nation. And that's, to me, what we have to. Everybody's got to start believing it. We want to be the best team in the nation.
You played at Purdue, games in West Lafayette. What did you, now that you're here, what was different than you, or what was something you really didn't expect to see here that is here based on the times you came in here as a Buckeye?
I came here twice, and the first year in 2004, we lost.
Lost, I know.
We lost to a great Purdue team. And that's what you know. Every time you knew you came to West Lafayette, you're in for a dogfight. Every time. In 2007, I think they were undefeated or they had lost one. It was it was a big game. We ended up winning, but that was a tough game. And you know, the crowd was rowdy. Both of those were night games. Crowd was crazy. What a great atmosphere for football. And now that I'm here, I see it. I understand. I think when you're at Ohio State, you're like, oh, Purdue, they're not Ohio State. But when you come here and you're a part of this family, there's no reason why Purdue can't compete with anybody.
Ohio State's had its troubles over here over the years, so they know that. Okay,
Absolutely.
about time for about one more question, Stacey.
Another question down here. Someone asked, is there pressure on you knowing the recent history of the linebackers has maybe been not that great? Your unit maybe will be the most scrutinized, they say.
Yeah. I wouldn't call it pressure. Some other people might. I'm excited about it. I don't want to come in and have a whole bunch of All-Americans and great. I want a group of guys that are willing to do this. You know, we talk about one core. From top to the bottom, we're going to do this, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited to work and to prove ourselves wrong.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not about proving other people wrong, but about ourselves being better than we thought we could be.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what we're excited about.
All right, from Dwayne Carlisle to Marcus Freeman, I am ready to go. I mean, you guys are very motivating, and I have a real sense that some of this stuff is going to rub off, as they say. Thank you so much for taking the time to come. In a sense, we'll probably do this again. And we look forward to watching this. We don't get to watch the February stuff, but we're looking forward to the start of watching spring practice.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to say thank you to all of you and for watching today. Those of you who didn't see the entire show, we will put the segments up online here around dinner time as well for our replay segment. Thanks to Stacy Clarity. We want to also thank Kim and Gordon and Lydia on down the line, all the folks at WLFI for all that you've done for us. We're looking at Nancy Cross will be on next week, Senior Associate Athletic Director. We might have another assistant football coach as well. If this was a positive experience for Marcus and he goes and tells his friends, we may get another one.
I'm not going to tell him, but I want to come back
every week.
There you go. We also
we do want to thank Tom Schott for hanging in. He seems like he's been here every other week. We probably ought to put him on too. But thank you for all the help you've given us. All right, we'll look forward to seeing you next week. We want to say thanks again also to our sponsors, Hilton Garden Inn, State Farm agent Trent Johnson, and Follett's Purdue Pride. We will see you next week at the same time, 2 o'clock. For Golden Black Live, and we promise it'll be almost as good a show as it was today. So, all right, sounds good. We'll look forward to seeing you next week. Stay tuned and have a great week, everybody.